family. I want to welcome you to a special three-part series of Back to School During a Pandemic. I'm your guest host, Kawanda Green. In the past few weeks, we have seen a spike in coronavirus cases across the country, and we are witnessing a growing debate of should schools reopen and how to do it safely. The president has even demanded that schools reopen in the fall. Is that the right decision? Well, today we are speaking to two principals who will give us their take on the coronavirus and if their schools are ready to reopen. I'm excited to talk to our guests today. First, I want to welcome Jonathan Hall. Jonathan Hall is a native of Kingston, North Carolina. He's an alumnus of Morehouse College, where he received his BA in political science. He's also an alumnus of Johns Hopkins University, where he received his master's in secondary education. Upon completion of Morehouse, Jonathan began his teaching career by serving in the Metro Atlanta Teach for America program. Jonathan has previously served as a teacher leader and department chair in Fulton County Schools at Creekside High School in Fairburn, Georgia. Recently, he was promoted to assistant principal at Fayette County High School and is excited for this new journey. Jonathan has been a member of House of Hope since 2010, where he is a proud member of our praise team. And we also want to welcome Dr. Andrew Lovett. He is a 17-year veteran educator in the Atlanta public school system. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics from Johnson C. Smith University, Master of Music degree in choral conducting from Emory University, and a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Educational Leadership from Mercer University. Dr. Lovett entered education through Teach for America also. In 2017, Dr. Lovett was featured on NPR for his efforts in working to turn around Benteen Elementary School. I want to welcome Dr. Lovett and Jonathan Hall to the show. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
How are y'all doing today?
Doing well.
I am so excited to talk to y'all. First of all, I want to know, what is Teach for America? See, both of y'all did that. What is that?
It's essentially an alternative teacher education program. I didn't major in education. Most people in Teach for America don't major in education. And so it gives people who are interested in, doing something to make a difference. They have to commit to at least 2 years of teaching in a high needs area. And they are supported by the Teach for America office and the district office. So I entered in the 2003 core, and Jonathan entered in, what year, Jonathan?
I entered in 2013 core.
So some of us stick with it past our 2-year commitment.
Well, I guess you have a love for it.
Absolutely.
So how did you start teaching elementary school?
So I've taught high school mathematics in Atlanta Public Schools for 7 years. Got a promotion to be like a district level mathematics instructional coach for K-8 mathematics in a cluster of schools. That job was abolished. And in the abolishment process, I ended up getting a job as an assistant principal at Dunbar Elementary School and worked there for 4 years. And then that's how I ended up getting into the elementary school world.
Oh, so do you like elementary school better than high school, or is there a big difference? Or
there's a huge difference. I think I've been in elementary school now 8 years. So I feel like I have more experience in the elementary school arena in terms of leadership than I have classroom experience in the high school area. There's nothing like getting a hug from a pre-K baby or a kindergartner when you're having a rough day. So I've grown to love the elementary school environment just like I would, more than I thought I would when I taught high school.
And Jonathan, you're the assistant principal at Fayette County High School. How is that? How is that for you?
Well, I'm brand new, so new. I actually start on Monday, but previously I was a teacher at Creekside High School, and that's pretty much where I've been my entire tenure. So right out of Teach for America, I was placed at Creekside, and I stayed beyond my 2-year commitment. During that time, I became a social studies department chair, where I led a group of teachers to some great leads and some great successes. And eventually I knew it was time for a change. And so I applied for an assistant principalship at Fayette County High School and thankfully got the job. And so I started there Monday. So I'm brand spanking new to this administrator world, but I'm definitely excited for this journey.
So how are they talking about preparing for school with this pandemic going on? Like, what are they saying? What do they have in place?
As far as Fayette County, we're going to probably do a hybrid of a situation. So it may be where students come on Monday and Tuesday, those same sets of students. And then Wednesday, I think, is going to be the break day. And then Thursday and Friday, we'll have the other sets of students. And so I think it's going to be done based off of last name. And so we won't have all students in at the same time. And I think parents also have the opportunity to select virtual if they do so choose for their students as well. So it's that hybrid blend. And once again, that option of virtual as well, but students won't be in the same building at the same time. That is the plan I think that they're working on. They haven't finalized things just yet, but that's kind of been what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks.
So with high school, they usually have to change classes. Will they stay in a class or will they still change classes?
The last time we spoke as a team, I think there was still talk of students being able to change classes. I think we may have to kind of guide how that's going to look as far as students maybe going in one direction, other students going in another direction, just to kind of ease the flow. I know some districts are even talking about doing it where they stagger release times. And so maybe one hall will be dismissed and then another hall will be dismissed at another time. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really different. This is education like we've never done before. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be and hopeful that it's going to, work out for the good.
It's going to be, and you're with elementary school students. So with the students having to wear a mask, I'm sure you all are going to require the students to wear a mask. Do you think the students will keep their mask on all day?
Well,
especially
I don't
elementary
think
students.
Good old elementary school. I do not know. The district has not made a final decision around what model we're going to roll with in the fall. There's talk between a hybrid, a face-to-face, or a complete virtual model. I think once the new superintendent makes the decision about how we shall proceed with regards to the instructional model, and with the guidance of the CDC and the City of Atlanta and the state, they'll make recommendations about what they think is in the best interest of children. But if we do have to go to an environment where elementary school children have to wear a mask, that's an entirely different element. It adds a different spice to the elementary day. Because little children, things happen. They get sick, they cough, they take them off, they get distracted, they want to play, want to pass the mask around. So there are certainly a number of concerns that we would have, but I do believe that whatever the decision the district decides to make, that we will be in a position to implement with fidelity and make sure that everyone, students and staff, are safe at all times.
But knowing kids, how, especially the little people, what do you see some challenges being with the little people?
The biggest struggle we have in elementary school, we spend a lot of time talking about social emotional learning and like getting the child to understand themselves. I feel like the biggest struggle we would have is that, the first day of school, pre-K and kindergarten parents and children tend to have their moments of separation anxiety. And it would be very difficult for a kindergarten or pre-K child to be screaming or crying for their mom. And we're trying to socially distance children and hope, and you can't really hug them. You can't, tell them it's going to be okay. There are just so many aspects of the elementary school environment, the touchy-feely, the huggy, the support. It's going to be okay that we won't be able to do, given the status of the virus in our state. So I think that those are some of the things that we worry about in terms of the child's social emotional well-being. Yes, they're at school, but children have been in isolation just like adults have been in isolation, and they want to see and hug their friends and do high fives and so many things that we do in elementary school to kind of encourage and keep kids motivated and excited about learning. We're going to have to find new and innovative ways to really engage them in a different way now.
And what are a couple of ways that you've thought of? Because you turned the school around. So you definitely have ideas. We're going to get to that in a second. But what are a couple of ways that you thought of it? Because kids, little people are very affectionate and they want to come hug, Dr. Levitt,
Right.
What you gotta do? Like, you get involved with your students. Like you get down, you work out with them, you go play with them, you do things with your students. You're very hands-on principal. I read about you. So,
yes.
So what I know you have a couple of ideas of what you plan to do.
Some of the things that we're thinking about, my assistant principal, we've been brainstorming about some ideas, but everyone has like a hand gesture, like a handshake or a secret, up, down, down, some way to kind of get the kids excited to understand that we're showing affection, but we're doing it from afar. So we're excited about, coming up with different ways to get the kids engaged and show them our new normal. If we go to a face-to-face or a hybrid model and they're actually in the building. If we don't go in the building, we worked on, we do bedtime stories with our kids during the school year. So they can kind of, get a chance to have the end of their day with their principal or their assistant principal reading a bedtime story to them. So we find unique ways to kind of get them connected and have them still have a positive experience in elementary school in this new element that we're in.
And what are you guys going to do about high school? Have you all talked about that? Because you're going to have some rebellious kids who don't want to wear the mask, who are going to want to, hang out with their boys, or, the girls want to hang with their girlfriends and want to laugh and kiki and play in the hall. So, have you all talked about like how you're going to implement the social distancing and to have the kids wear the mask? And if they choose not to, like, is there, what will y'all do?
So I think the biggest thing, especially when we talk about high school, is just incentivizing and just, letting students know the good that can come out of wearing a mask and the benefit of wearing a mask. So I think, of course, shedding that information, having that conversation with students up front, and hopefully students will be on board with that. I don't know, personally, what it would look like as far as disciplining the child for not wearing a mask. But I think it starts at the very beginning with having that conversation of, this is important. This is kind of helping, reduce the spread of the disease. And it's important that you wear it, and incentivizing those students who do wear it. So I think all that needs to happen at the beginning of the year. I don't know what it looks like I said, if you discipline a child for not wearing a mask, but it definitely needs to happen, of course, to slow the spread. So it's interesting as I can imagine.
Well, y'all have sanitizer, like stations around the school?
Yes, so I know they're doing things such as like sneeze guards, where it's like a partition that's put up for like our front desk staff, our attendance clerk, anybody that's talking directly with people, and of course sanitizing stations around the school to where students and faculty can quickly sanitize themselves as well. Andrew, I know you guys may be doing some different things as well as far as sanitation purposes.
Yeah, our facilities department has been working with our school district leaders to kind of figure out the best way. At my school, we had started the process even before Corona really happened. We have hand sanitizer stations in various places throughout our building, and every classroom has Clorox wipes and Lysol. Was elementary school, we have flu season, we have cough season, we have stomach virus, we have so many things that can travel. So we always try to make sure we do our due diligence to provide the teachers with things they need in their classroom to kind of make sure that they're safe and the children are safe. And our custodial staff does a great job of keeping our building clean as well.
Are you kidding me? The custodians are the best. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
They're just the best. They don't get enough credit. They don't get enough credit, everywhere, at the hospital, at the schools, wherever, they don't get enough credit. Without them, we would all be a mess.
Very much so.
How was it when this first came out last spring? Like, how did your kids react to that? Like, how did y'all react to it when they first shut say we're going to shut the school down?
I'll let Jonathan go first because he actually was at the school where it happened in Fulton County first.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it was interesting because when it first happened, like Andrew said, we were near Bear Creek, and Bear Creek is kind of where the outbreak started, especially when we talk about schools. And so Fulton County made the decision that we would stop teaching, and we would close schools, I think for maybe I think it was 2 days. And then we came back, and that was the actual final day. I think when everything started to happen, it was like, okay, well, we know something is going to happen, but this may be temporary. We don't know how long it's going to last. I was under the impression that eventually we were going to come back. We were still going to have prom. We were still going to have graduation. This was something that was going to be over within like 2 or 3 weeks. Needless to say, I was definitely wrong. And, I think a lot of educators all over the country were wrong in the fact that it stayed longer than we expected. And so, I think it was at first very, very temporary. I thought it was going to be a temporary thing, but it lasted for the duration of the school year. And so I think thanking teachers everywhere for becoming virtual educators overnight, because it's kind of flipped what we used to do, how we used to do the brick and mortar and how, face-to-face learning, that began to look different. And we essentially became virtual instructors overnight. So kudos to teachers everywhere, because that was a big shift. Just doing things that we've never done before. And so, with the balance of your own family and balancing your own mental health and balancing, kids and parents and spouses, there's a lot that's going on at the time. So being able to really do that as well as teach remotely, I think has been amazing. And teachers have been really, really successful.
You mentioned prom and graduation. How did the kids react to not being able to have prom and graduation? Did they do anything? Well, I know they didn't do prom, but graduation did.
So at my former school, we did do a graduation parade, and so basically that was a drive-through ceremony. Everybody came through in a cap and gown, and they were able to get their diploma, any type of awards they may have won. And the kids actually really liked it. Surprisingly, they said, we still get our moment of shine. People were able to honk their horns. They were able to still, have they can get their diploma. And then I think it's because the ceremony is so much longer and they have so many speeches. With the drive-through ceremony, they were just able to drive through, get their diploma, and be on out the way. But yeah, I think that drive-through celebration really kind of gave them that spunk. I know for Fayette County, there are talks of doing a actual ceremony in August. Don't know what that's going to look like just yet. I think we're still on the working what that will look like. But the district has talked about doing a in-person graduation. And I know some other counties around Metro Atlanta have done in-person graduations later on in the summer as well. So I don't necessarily know what that will look like, but it should be interesting. And I think one school I was reading on Twitter, it's like way in Indiana. I think they're doing like a dance, which is going to simulate a prom for the most part. So that should be interesting as well.
I think that'll be a great idea. Andrew, how was your school? How did your school react to the closing?
So the first thing, when we saw it happening in Fulton County, it kind of got real. It was like, wait, Fulton closed. And so our senior leadership, they've been having meeting and talking about it, but they looked in the school principals. I believe it was on a Wednesday. We had a conference call. We kind of talked about what could happen, and it just being prepared. And so I met with my administrative team, and we kind of mapped out, if this happens, what do we do? What will it look like for our school and our students? Because in elementary school, things like children need a schedule. Children crave and need routine. And many parents are used to have children having routines. And so we figured out, on Thursday, we needed to meet with the teachers and told them, hey, listen, I need you to make sure that your online lesson plans in the Google Drive were up to date. We made a separate Google Drive just for virtual learning for the first few weeks. We sent children home with everything we uploaded digitally. We also uploaded on a platform and sent a paper copy home to students just in case child didn't have internet access, child didn't have lost papers. They could still have access to the materials. And we gave parents like a sample schedule, like, wake up, have breakfast, read a book, do math. And so we try to make sure that parents, many of our parents were like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, this is, because I have a lot of first-time parents who have first-time kindergartners, and it's like they're getting used to the routine of school. So we sent them home with a sample schedule, snack, lunchtime, read a book, outside extended play, just trying to get them so they can have some type of normal behavior. And so that lasted like the first 2 or 3 weeks. That got us up to spring break. After spring break, we started doing live asynchronous or synchronous lessons. And so I required my teachers to only focus on math and reading lessons because I felt like we were all in the pandemic. We all were trying to process and figure out what was happening. And we're all in crisis. We're all dealing with trauma. And so I wanted to make sure that my teachers had a chance to be human, that they had a chance to take care of their own mental well-being and their family well-beings. Many of them take care of older parents and relatives. And so I thought about my teachers, my children, and my parents, because many parents were trying to juggle working and trying to help the children get online. And so we felt like keeping it to just a minimum 2 things. Like teachers could do above and beyond. And teachers that were departmentalized, like my 4th and 5th grade, they had to do whatever subject they departmentalized with. But we primarily focused on those main 2 areas, ELA and mathematics, trying not to overload, because we didn't know at the time what was considered realistic for a child to be on a computer sitting.
Right.
And so I'm thankful to my dynamic teachers who they made it happen. They did so many innovative and creative things. The kids were excited. The parents were excited. And we also pushed out a master schedule of all of our live lessons and like when things were going to happen, so that parents could know in a one-stop shop where everything regarding virtual learning would be. Because what I didn't want was a parent going to multiple platforms and trying to figure out and click here. And so we really try to streamline our presentation for parents. They can kind of figure out how to make things happen. And then we added up, my AP and I added the bedtime stories because we thought that was a great way to kind of, end the day and for our kids to have some sing. They used to sing us every day. And so to go from, because we don't teach lessons, so they don't see us on the live lessons unless we pop in, but they had a chance to see us every night on Facebook Live on our school's Facebook page to have a bedtime story. And I love to read the kids. We were all very animated and having a good time. And so it was just a wonderful experience. We also ended up having virtual awards days. And so parents got to log in. We would pop into classes and participate with the students. So we really tried to make it feel as normal and as natural as possible. It was important for me that my kids felt like school was still a school. It may have been in a different format or different presentation, but school was still a school. So I also made sure my parents, they had a Facebook messenger group for our parents. Many of them joined this group, and they added me, so they would ask questions. They would send me messages periodically, and I could respond in the moment with my families. Benteen, we are about 35% Hispanic, and so it was eventful trying to make sure I spent everything in English and also in Spanish. So I became very good friends with Google Translate and became a copy-paste master to make sure that whatever I said in English was also in Spanish, because for me, I never want a parent to not be able to communicate about their children, their education. So I had to do what I had to do to make sure that whenever we had something, that we did our best to communicate in both languages.
Jonathan, I don't know who's on your team, but you need to make sure Andrew is. This is your first year as an assistant principal. I'm telling you, Andrew knows what he's doing over there.
I told Andrew when I first got my job, I said, Andrew, definitely keep your phone open because I will be texting you, to get some advice and all that good stuff. And yeah, Andrew
absolutely. Absolutely. We try. I was trained by some great educators, and I had a chance to see great leadership in multiple school buildings. So I got a chance to kind of craft my own by learning from the others who were so great. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to lead where I am.
And I always say, there are no bad kids. There are no bad schools, companies, whatever. It's just bad leadership. And you've shown that. So, Jonathan, you better talk. So all of this that you did, do y'all feel like the parents really appreciate y'all now? Do you think they really appreciate teachers and all that teachers have to go through dealing with their kids?
I've had several parents reach out to me via Facebook, reach out to me via email, and just saying how much they appreciate everything that our schools, the school community did to make sure that their children got what they could from the virtual experience. And now we had some parents who chose not to participate for various reasons, but we made sure we tried to touch every child who's a student in our school so that every parent and every child had direct access. If something was wrong, their device So our district decided to, give out have the schools break down our computer cards and give out the devices we had in our building to our students to make sure that students had devices at home. And so we spent a lot of time breaking down the devices, giving them out, making sure that they had internet connectivity issues, trying to find those resources. And I feel like our teachers in our district did a really good job in helping the schools figure out how to fill that gap. Because the pandemic discovered or exposed many inequities that exist in our city and across our country with regards to who has, who does not have. And so many of our parents have been very appreciative for how hard our school and our district leaders work to make sure that whatever we thought they might benefit from, be it, finding food resources, delivering food, getting devices, getting the internet connected, finding partners to support them, they really felt like we were, the school and the district were a very great partner to kind of help navigate this unknown territory.
Mm. Wow, guys, you all have given us some great information this part one, and we're going to continue this next week. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of I'm so sorry. I've totally forgot what this episode was. What is it? Something in the pandemic. I'm sorry. Can somebody text me? We're going to have to exit this part out because it's something during the pandemic.
Does it opening schools during a pandemic is what's on my screen?
Oh, okay. My block is in it, so I can't see it. Okay. We're going to... Thank you all so much for joining us for this first part one of opening schools during this pandemic. Please join us for next week to continue to talk with our principals to find out what we need to do to prepare to be ready, because according to the president, we're opening the schools. So join us next week for our continued talk with opening schools with the pandemic. Thank you so much.